Hey guys, what's up? We are back with another video today, and today we are doing our Rutgers 2023 football prediction, so make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Rutgers fans, you were great last year. This was one of the best performing videos last year, so share it with all your Rutgers friends. Let them know about this video, so that way we can get more Rutgers fans here to talk about some Rutgers football, because the more Rutgers fans here equals more Rutgers content later on in the college football season. Also, make sure that you check out College Football Roundup. It is my secondary YouTube channel that me and American Football Network share. It is the podcast version of the platform with a video component as well. Also, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff. It helps out the channel, so go do that down below. Even if you dislike the video, dislike it, but let me know in the comment section what you think. Otherwise, let's get started with today's video. So let's make our way over to the schedule as we discuss some Rutgers football. So you start off the year with a very interesting game. You play Northwestern. Just to preface this, I am doing this video on July 14th at 3:17 p.m. and it should come out July 14th at about 4 p.m. So Pat Fitzgerald is fired. As this moment, there is not a replacement. So it means that there is no head coach. They're keeping all the assistants, and I don't think that it's going to be an interim head coach. I think that they're going to hire somebody from outside, in my personal opinion. That's what I think will happen. So with all of that kind of preface there, we're going to get into the specific gameplay. This game is in Piscataway. It is definitely going to be I think, in my opinion, a pretty raucous crowd for Rutgers standards because, well, I think it is definitely a little bit of a disappointment what happened last year. But I think, in my personal opinion, I think that there were some bright signs to future things that could happen with this program if there were some good parts that were about it, is basically what I'm trying to say. So, Northwestern, I think that this game is going to be a W. I think that last year you did not play Northwestern, and I think that Northwestern this year, they're struggling. But Fitzgerald issues and stuff like that came into existence a couple of days ago, or at least came into the public eye a couple weeks ago. I think that there's just too many issues. This is a week one game. I just do not see it. Even before the Pat Fitzgerald, I had this game marked down as a win, and I think that it is going to be a win. I just don't, and especially now, I don't see any chance that Northwestern has at winning this game. Maybe they rally behind their new coach. Maybe it is an interim, but I doubt it. I don't know. Probably not. Then you have Temple. Last year, it was a little bit closer of a game than I thought it would be. It was a 16-14 victory. That game was at Temple, though, so it was in Philadelphia area. So I am going to give the win to the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. I think that they do win this game. I think that they're just in a better position. Temple should not be able to battle as much as they did. And so, so let's talk about it. At quarterback, you have Gavin Whitson. I'm sure I'm saying that name wrong. I'm sorry. But Gavin, we're just going to call him Gavin from now on. He split time with Evan Simmon, and Noah Verdell last year. So you had those three quarterbacks all switching in and out. None of them played particularly well. Evan had a 57 or almost a 58% completion percentage. Gavin only had about a 45, and Noah had about a 46. It was not a good quarterback class right now. According to Phil Steele, he has him as projected quarterback. I'm not that deep into Rutgers football that I know that there's probably going to be some split time here, but as like the defined starting quarterback, I do not have inside sources that there is going to be one that just plays the majority. I think it will be a back and forth combination between all of the parties. Then you have Virginia Tech. This was an interesting matchup and one that I really went back and forth on, but at the end of the day, it's a home game, so I'm going to give it to Rutgers. it is kind of interesting that Rutgers starts the year off with 4 out of 5 home games. You have Michigan on the road the following week, but you do start off with a lot of home games. But to talk about Virginia Tech specifically, really it came down to home field advantage. I do like I do like Greg Schiano and Rutgers a little bit more. I think that they're just in a better position personally. But I think with this team particularly, you're looking at a team that I think can improve defensively. They should be a little bit better this year. I think that they definitely have some better defensive pieces, and with some 8 returning starters on the defense, I do think that you're in a much better spot. Then you have a road game against Michigan. I'm sorry, but there's just no shot that you win this game whatsoever. Obviously, in 2021, Rutgers played them really well in the Big House, only losing by 7. 20-13 was the final score in that game. But last year, you obviously had the beatdown, 52-17. I don't expect to have as close of a game as you did in 21. I don't think really the first 2 years under Greg Schiano, it was a team that they really played close. The prior year, it was 42-48, but obviously that was the year Michigan just decided to not play football at all. So with that taken under consideration, I do think that that is going to be a loss, and I just don't see it being as close as previous matchups. I don't see it. I think that Rutgers is going to struggle and probably lose by 20-plus points is my guess. Then you have Wagner. This is going to be a win. I don't think I need to have any discussion. Last year, you beat the crap out of them 66-7. Don't think that there's going to be any issues. Got to win there. Then you have Wisconsin, and I think that this is a loss. I think Wisconsin is just too physical up front, even though this is going to be a less ball-dominant run attack offense than it was in years past. I think that would scare me more than it doesn't. Wisconsin obviously still has a very dominant presence up front, and with Braylon Allen and Ches Malusi, that was the other guy. Ches Malusi and Braylon Allen in that backfield, that is one of the most nasty backfields in all of college football. Simply put, it is going to be a very difficult time for Rutgers in that matchup. I think that that could be one of the worst games of the year for them. Then you have Michigan State. This was a game that was close to me. I think Mel Tucker, he's not on the hot seat in some ways because that contract is guaranteed for the most part, if not all the way, and he has a lot of money owed to him, so I don't think he's going anywhere for a couple of seasons. But at the end of the day, I do think that this is going to be a win for the Rutgers program. I think that Rutgers gets off to a really good start with the 5-2 record heading into a road game against Indiana. The main reason for beating Rutgers is it was a home game, it's homecoming, and I do think that offensively they'll just be able to score just enough points in order to get the W, though. That's been the one big issue that I've had with Rutgers is offensively they have really struggled. Last year, they scored the 66 points against Wagner, but other than that, you did not score more than 22 in a loss. You are not in a loss. The most points that you got was 21. Otherwise, in the wins, you had 22 against Boston College and 24 against Indiana. So this offense is a little bit, it worries me a little bit. Last year, you lost to Michigan State 21-27. I think you can get some points, but how many is the key question. Then you have Indiana. I think that this is, again, another win. I think that Rutgers really has a good first half of the season. And when I mean first half, I mean before the bye week. That's kind of how I split it up. I know it's not technically exactly first half, but I think that that's kind of how I'm going to run it. I think that you beat Indiana. You beat them last year. Obviously, now it's on the road this year, but I think Tom Allen, they got quite a few struggles, and I think Rutgers is just going to finish ahead of them personally. Now, this is where the struggles kind of come in. Really, to be honest, in my personal opinion, if you're able to go 6-2, or if you go 5-3 in those first 8 games, it's really just about winning one of these final 4 games in order to either get a bowl eligibility or to get that 7th win on the season in the regular season, because these are some tough matchups. The easiest opponent you have, in my opinion, is Iowa, and that's at Iowa. That's going to be a tough game. Ohio State, that's a loss. Too much offensive firepower. You simply are not able to compete with the offensive brand, even with a new quarterback for Ohio State. You just simply don't have the guns to be able to go out and play Ohio State. The last 3 scores in the Greg Schiano era have been 49-10, 52-53, or 52-13, I'm sorry, and a 49-27 loss. And the 22-point loss in 2020, that was really closer. The Rutgers got some points at the end rather than it being as close as 22 points. It was even farther away than that. Like I said, Iowa is going to be the closest win that you are, the closest game you have to being a win, but I just don't see it. It's a game at Iowa. I think that Iowa's defense, our offense is inept. I think it's terrible, but I think that Iowa's defense is much better than Rutgers, even though they did lose a couple of pieces. Then you have Penn State. I think that this is another loss. I think with Drew Allard, if you had this game earlier on a season, maybe I'd consider it, but it's at Beaver Stadium. It's at Penn State. It's going to be a tough environment. It's not going to be a whiteout. It probably is going to be a day game, and that will be an advantage. It doesn't have to be that, but it's going to be a struggle fest for Rutgers to play well. Then finally, you have Maryland. Maryland obviously is kind of Rutgers' rival in the Big Ten, kind of not. They're kind of forcing it on you whether you like it or not. Rutgers fans, tell me, Rutgers, who do you consider to be your rival in the Big Ten? Is it Maryland, or who else do you think it is? I think that this is another loss. I think that you end the season on a disappointing 4-game losing streak, going 6-6 in the season. But let's be honest, a 6-6 record is not a bad record when you look at it from the general perspective. Plus, those 4 last games are incredibly difficult. And Ohio State, Penn State, Maryland, Iowa, those are all going to be teams that are probably finishing in the top half of their division. Maybe not Maryland, maybe not Penn State, but that's because the Big Ten East is so stacked. And I do feel bad that Rutgers is in such a stacked division that I really just don't see him getting higher than that 5th spot, because you're in a division that has Michigan and Ohio State as 2 premier playoff teams. And then you have Penn State, who's just that borderline top 15, top 10 team almost every year in the James Franklin era. And then recently, Mike Loxby has had that Maryland program kind of getting that 8 to maybe even 9 wins possibly this season. So you're in a tough spot. Obviously, you can beat up on Indiana, but even that game isn't particularly easy. So that's going to wrap up today's video. Hit 2 videos down below. One will be a playlist of all of my college football prediction videos, and hit the subscribe button up here. Help the channel out as we reach 1,100 subscribers, hopefully by the end of July. And as always, have a great day. Bye, guys.